Now, I am going to give this the college try, the good old try one more time. If you don't know, my internet's been dropping out. I can't stand it, but I want to settle this debate. Is working from home still going to be viable in 2024? Not even 2024, just in the future. Is it still going to be happening? And the reason why I'm saying this is because I've seen two separate articles, two separate sides, two separate opinions on is it going to likely continue or is it just simply going away? And I'll get to it in the later on in this video on why some of the top companies are actually stopping this. Now, you'll see two sides of the story. The first one, remote work has radically changed the economy and it's here to stay. When was this video made? Or when was this article made? January 24. It literally just happened. I mean, 2024, like January 24. Now, if you read or go down this article, the pandemic demonstrated that we can all work from home. We clearly know that that's not true, right? Waste management has to still do, a power lineman still have to do stuff. A plumbing still has, all of these different aspects still have to be, right? These services have to be provided. But if we're talking about admin stuff, yeah, of course. Obviously, HR can be done remote, but how does that correlate, or how does that financially correlate to people that are, willing to work in office or even hybrid, right? You can't make carpet from your basement, or you're going to have these arguments. Services, goods, obviously these have to be provided in-house, right? Things have to be made, things have to be shipped, people have to go somewhere. But you're going to see the numbers essentially stagnate. We're around 20%. Bureau of Labor found last August, so 2023 in this article, August, that 1 in 5 teleworked. It's really, I mean, when you think about it, from COVID, we're probably like half and half during that time. So we're slowly on either a hold or a decrease. That compared to the range of 19 to 20% in October of 22. Now, the rise of remote hydrate. Now, the rise of remote work has made a business model more flexible and therefore sustainable, more attractive to workers than ever before. I mean, if you go on Indeed, if you go on Glassdoor, if you go on LinkedIn, you are still going to see teleworking, remote work advertised. Why is this? The top companies are offering it, so everyone has to offer it. We have to align our standards to the better organizations, right? It's a competition based. But when you see this, remote work has radically changed the economy too. Internet's not down. Refresh proof. 2023 was the year return to office died. Like, you're going to see these articles. You're going to see one end, it's good. One end, it's bad, right? So remote work numbers have dwindled over the past few years. Employers have issued return to office mandates. And we're going to see one of the biggest ones that just happened today. The numbers started to slide off after spring 22 or 2020. More than 60% of the days were worked from home, according to work from home research. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to wake up and just work from home, not have to deal with a commute, not deal with the travel expenses, and still get paid? Like, I mean, let's just be honest. If we're getting paid to work from home, it's it's gonna happen. But we're seeing remote. Man, I'm butchering this. The whole return to office mandates being pushed by the largest companies, right? And this is going to be the response. The companies are seeing this expense on the balance sheet. People aren't in office. Potential revenue might have peaked. Where can they cut from? Now, there's a few ways companies can cut. They can cut from services. They can stop providing things. Or payroll. And if you're looking at companies like Twitter, unfortunately, however you feel about them, Elon was able to cut 80% of the staff. And I mean, realistically, let's be honest, Twitter's the same. It's still a cesspool. I don't have a Twitter. I'm sorry. If you want to follow the Twitter, it's linked in my YouTube, on my YouTube handle. But it's just, I can't. I'm gonna be honest. Every time I go to Twitter, it's just it's a cesspool. Let's just be honest. The wave of tech layoffs continue into 2024, impacting 60,000 workers. And this is not just, it's not just 60. It's going to be 250,000 up to 1 million. There's going to be plenty of people getting laid off. The wave of layoffs, right here, layoffs.fyi. There's going to be so many layoffs happening, and simply because companies are reducing their workforce. They see that they don't need as many people. All right, major players such as Tesla, Amazon, Google, TikTok, Snapchat, Microsoft. I mean, you're going down the list of all of the top, major companies. They're just going to be laying off people. And who are the first to go? The first that they don't see, the first that they don't make profits on their organization, the first that are working in a, obscure work center that they don't see. So of course those are the departments that are likely going to get hit first, right? Now, this doesn't mean that there's too much fat, there's not enough fat, however you want to see it. But this simply means that at the end of the day, let's just be honest. If you are not seen, you're not heard, you're shit, don't look good, right? All right, so the layoffs landscape. In August 2024, Intel sent shockwaves through the industry. Now, if you saw my video about Intel stock, right, that dude who bought $700,000 worth of Intel stock tanked 30% the next day, anyone could have seen that coming. Don't know why you would invest in Intel stock, but let's just look at this. Just look at this company, Intel. It reduced 15%. Now, let's just be honest, it needs to cut more. But if you look at the expenses, I don't know if they can even afford. But the news quickly followed with Cisco, because essentially you just need one person to knock over the domino. These layoffs were partnered by a broader trend of companies staggering 428,000 tech workers. That's just known tech workers, right? That's just known high industry working companies, right? Just imagine the mom and pop spots across America, and that's just in 2024 and 2023. What do we see recently happen? An increase on unemployment rate, right? Now, looking ahead, the best way against this is being a valuable piece in any company. A lot of people might not think that, but you need to be a part of the company that makes money. If you're not in a part of the company that makes money, it is what it is. Sorry to say. Now, we're going to see this video. It's audio.
This week, Amazon announced it will return to a 5-day in-office work week. The new change in policy marks a return to the pre-pandemic way of working, which was turned upside down for all of us by COVID. So will other companies, maybe the place where you work, join the move?
Why do they have this saddened music? This was not the right choice. I don't know who their AV team is. Not the right choice.
Back to work. And how are employees feeling about all this? NBC's Dana Griffin has our Sunday focus.
Amazon has forever changed the way we shop. With the click of a button, we order everything from groceries to electronics.
Now remember, Amazon is leading the charge. So just like how Intel was leading the layoffs, you're going to have a company that is structured well off to manage the cuts. And I mean, I think what Amazon is right behind Walmart with the most employed. So if you have a company who has, 250,000 employees, you're going to have to deal with something like that. You're going to have to deal with, all the other companies are going to follow suit.
And in a snap, they show up at our front doors. But while customers receive deliveries at home, Amazon wants its corporate workers back in the office.
You heard corporate, right? Because you understand the warehouse needs, like I said early, things need to be done that can't be work from home. So who's corporate in Amazon? It's already, you immediately just talked about the middle and the upper fat. We're not talking about the lower fat. The lower fat are out delivering the packages. Lower fat's out in the warehouse. If you watch any of those Amazon delivery driving videos, they're sweating in those vans.
Full time starting next year. CEO Andy Jassy writing Monday in a memo, we've decided that we're going to return to being in the office the way we were before the onset of COVID. Adding, the move will further strengthen Amazon's culture and brainstorming. Jassy hinting at the move earlier this year.
I noticed the collaboration is better. All
right, now there is a debate of having valuable meetings and having people in person is always going to be better, right? That just makes sense. It'd just be easier if you're in close proximity. You don't have to deal with a small delay, but at what point, right? I think there's an equal exchange of startup, cool, everyone's in office versus we actually could do this anywhere, right? Remote work is done anywhere.
The innovation is better. I just noticed that we've kind of gotten back to our culture more since we've been back in the office.
Currently, Amazon employees only need to be in the office 3 days a week, and remote work will continue for those with extenuating circumstances. Anxious Amazon workers aren't happy about a full-time return to the office. One writing, "Life is too short to spend it commuting 5 days a week." Another saying,
I don't want to
think
work.
it is time to start looking
Just
for
be
a
honest.
role at a company that trusts their employees."
All right, I don't think it's time to start looking. Okay. Remember, you're talking about mid-level fat at Amazon. You're not talking about warehouse delivery, right? You're literally talking about mid-level who's likely already earning six figures saying something like this. So it also is going to come off a little disrespectful to the people who are unfortunately working 7 days a week.
And treats them with respect.
The pandemic took a
Amazon treats you with respect. I mean, just, it's pretty laughable too.
wrecking ball to the traditional place-based work model. And so what Amazon is trying to do is essentially roll back the clock.
Callie Williams-Yost is a flexible work expert. She says companies mandating strict return-to-office policies could face increasing backlash from workers.
I think they are going to have a hard time retaining talent, good talent.
All right, so I don't agree. Any FAANG company will always be able to get talent. And if you're specifically talking about Amazon not getting talent, you don't understand Amazon. You don't understand the practice of who they are. That's just like saying, yeah, Google, they got rid of their slide in their office. They got rid of the slide in the lobby. So what do you mean now? What do you mean? What? That's just stupid.
I think you're going to see they're going to have a hard time hiring talent.
Last year, about 2,000 Amazon employees worldwide walked off the job, in part over the company's 3-day return-to-office mandate. And while Amazon joins companies like Citigroup, Walmart, and UPS in tightening return-to-office rules, overall, just 33% of companies require.
All right, so only, 33% of companies require 5 days? Is that true? Let me know, because I don't understand how companies can allow just 33% of people to work a week, right? It's like working the 9 to 5, working Monday through Friday. How does that work? Man.
Require workers in the office 5 days a week. And what about employees? What do they?
That's what I'm saying. Like this guy right here. How does he feel? How does he feel about this? Hold on.
Workers in the
Look back
office
at
5
this.
days a week. And what about
This guy? He's not working 3 days. I promise you that. They got him wearing the hero shirt. You know how this is spit in the face.
employees? What do they want when it comes to work? According to a Gallup survey of
I want
more
money.
than 18,000 workers, around 53% expect and prefer hybrid work, citing work-life balance and higher productivity as crucial factors. With 3 in 10 hybrid workers saying they were extremely likely to leave an organization if it didn't offer some.
All right, so I think I had this argument with a coworker, but if you were offered two choices, $100,000, but it fully requires you to go into work, $100,000, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or $75,000, but it's like a hybrid flex. Which one would you take? Right? Because the company's saying, hey, you have the luxury of off-hour shifts. Right? If you have the luxury of off-hour shifts, we can't always clock what you're doing. But if you're in person, we can always know that we're wasting it. Where the company is okay with wasting your time if it's on their time, right? Like, hey, we gave you 16 things to do today. You got 12 of them done, but you were at least here, versus we don't know what you were doing. Because, that's a hard pick.
Some degree of flexibility, while 20% say they prefer.
Now, the reason I say that is because what if you were the owner? Right? What if you were the owner and like shit wasn't getting done because you know how you are as an employee, not getting shit done because you're not a hybrid worker? Like you're not let's be honest.
Person work, as it gives them opportunities to socialize and collaborate more effectively.
All right, that's just because when I'm working from home on my days, I don't do shit. I check my email. I'm active.
Experts like Yost argue that with the pandemic in the rearview mirror, companies now have an opportunity to forever change how and where we work.
This was a crisis-driven execution of flexibility, but now it's time to go back and optimize that flexibility for the workforce and the business.
But I think there's a level of optimizing whatever you do for the position you are, right? Because we understand that whenever you work in a company, shit might hit the fan and it sucks. Like, let's just be honest. Like a project manager, how many project managers do you need? How many projects do you have? Why are there so many project managers?
Not to try to roll back the clock to 2019.
And Dana joins me now live. Dana, good morning. As you point out, many people have settled into a new way of working over these last several years, some of them actually moving away from the physical place where they worked. So can they now be fired for not returning to the office?
Willie, good morning to you. And for most who work at will, yes, you can be fired for not adhering to these policies. Now, unless your contract specifically states a remote option, or if there's a reason coming into the office is unsafe, most employees will have to fall in line or risk losing their job. Now,
yeah, because that's just going to be dependent on the contract you signed. If your contract that you signed was completely remote from home, then I mean, that's up to you, right? Like, that's a complete choice up to you.
Many experts see these mandates as a way for companies to reduce their workforces by getting people to quit so they don't have to pay severance. Some also suggest if coming in 5 days is mandatory, then try to negotiate in-office hours to help accommodate childcare needs or avoiding those longest commute times. The expert we spoke with says this is also a prime time for recruiters to try and poach workers to join their companies by offering more flexibility. Willie?
So fascinating. This is not going to be easy. So many people have reorganized their lives around.
Like, let's just be honest. If you had an option to do, remote from home, work from home, hybrid, like you're going to take it, right? Depending on the job position, job title you have. Why wouldn't you? Truthfully, it'd be stupid if you didn't.
On remote work. We'll see if other companies follow suit here.
Now, that was just an article, or I guess a recent release that Amazon is going to be leading the way on the whole return to office, which I think this is just a flex to try to throw Amazon under the bus, because being honest with the entire workforce, everyone wants to do this. All employers want to do this. All big companies want to do this. Now, but there's also an older one. This isn't new, right? This is, if you see it, 10 months ago, but it has 1 million views. Is the golden age of remote work over? I got ads on this account.
America feels about remote work in 2023.
The laptop class is living in La La Land. It's messed up to assume that yes, they have to go to work, but you...
All right, to be fair, everyone knows where Elon stands. If you're not on the factory, I think that's why he slept at the factory, the warehouse, so he can watch his people work.
Don't. It's not just a productivity thing. I think it's morally wrong.
Listen, it doesn't work for young kids. It doesn't work for spontaneity. It doesn't really work for management.
I feel like you can't ask like near trillionaires. That was Chase. Like you can't ask like people that have like 12 figures net worth. Like, what do you want? Like, they're like, oh no, I want work from home. Yeah, I want flexible hours.
And this,
if they had their way, you would be glued to your workstation.
is how the corporate world felt about remote work in 2020 during the height of COVID-19.
The biggest advantages, I think, are access to...
This was Mark Zuckerberg still with the robot. Like, I think he got his update. He recently grew his hair out.
Large pools of talent who don't live around the big cities and aren't willing to move there.
Since we've all been forced into being remote now for 9 months, I think we've realized that if you have somebody in a particular location who's willing to work the hours to be able to collaborate, you can do it very effectively. So it's changed how we thought about hiring.
Let's pause.
We literally had him in a recent video. Don't forget, he was in the first video that says, no, we need, synergy and all the BS.
Here, notice something? In fewer than 3 years, corporate leaders have reversed their approach to remote work, and it seems like this tactic has been working. The latest data from the Census Bureau found that fewer than 26% of U.S. households still have someone working from home.
All right, so 26%. That's not too bad.
37%.
37, yeah. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure peak COVID literally had 50-50. I don't know where the numbers at are on that, but, I mean, those are the good days.
Early 2021.
So the reason we're having this entire conversation about remote work dying is, first of all, because we kept thinking that we're going to bounce back to...
All right, I'm going to speed this one up. I'm not going to lie. It's like 10 minutes. 1.25. Let's go.
Quote unquote normal. When the pandemic started and we had people working from home, the idea was this is very temporary and we were all going to come back. So really
No, it was not temporary. People did not want to come back. People did not want to come back. The moment you gave them freedom, that's an unfortunate pause.
Discussion about remote.
I'm going to go with that. The moment you gave everyone an option to even work from home, no one's coming back to that.
Work is the slowdown in the labor market. There are a lot of employers out there who
Full
had
pay
suspicions
too.
about remote work from the start. And you can see that kind of by the timing of when people actually went to being remote during the start of the pandemic. So the concerns that employers had about remote work were present all during the Great Reshuffle, but they didn't really have much of a choice. But with the emergency orders expiring for the pandemic this year, now they can actually start to bring people back and address some of those concerns that they might have about productivity.
Like, when you think about productivity, right? As long as the goal, the result is done. Right? Realistically, hypothetically, if you had an office where they just said, turn this into 16 squares, at the end of the day, and you turn it into 16 squares, it doesn't matter, right? If anything, if you turn them into 20 squares, that's even better, right? But right now, what companies are likely seeing is that peak revenue, that peak income that happened from COVID when everyone was just spending money from working from home, right? And now that you have peak income, what happens? What happens after that? There's always, it's the peak, it's a fall. So now companies are like, okay, well, we need to find a profit. They're going to cut people. It's just easier. It's unfortunate.
Remote work was thrust upon us basically by the pandemic. Before the pandemic, remote work was pretty rare, so about 5% of days. We were forced to work from home. You know, all managers and professionals were basically fully
I'm
remote.
going to skip up to the... So right now, they have a long debate about productivity and remote work, right? Can you get the same jobs done from home? We know the answer. You can get, if your job allows remote access to whatever network, whatever systems, you have all of that access at home, of course you can get it done. Now, I said, bear with me. I got ads on this account.
Not a competition.
Y'all aren't getting the premium. Like, subscribe.
My name is Susan Parazoli. I used to work for JP Morgan and Chase. It was all remote, but once they changed their policy to come to office, that was in Plano, Texas, but I live in California. So I decided not to move out there because of my kids. I have 2 school-going kids. I have to manage work-life balance as well. That was the reason why I quit my job.
So, go back. What was his duty title? JP Morgan Chase. Okay, they're not going to say. But I promise you that his position allowed it, and he was able to get another position elsewhere that allowed it. Right? So this is all dependent on the skills that you have. If you don't have high skill services, high skills, right, you're going to have to find them.
Kids have to manage work-life balance as well. That was the reason why I quit my job. JP Morgan had given me 45 days of time frame to find another job. And I applied for some other companies and found a remote job with Leidos. So I have been working remotely.
He was able to get it
as a senior system analyst.
There you go, senior system analyst. I'm like, this is obviously someone who has the skills, who's able to move and migrate. Called it.
Parazoli is not alone in his choice to quit rather than return to an office.
But like the thing is, there's a difference, right? Mid-level, high level, who's able to balance this, and the low-level employees who are working the front office at Chase.
Setting. Finding a fully remote job.
So this entire work from home process is a mid to high level problem.
Though, is getting more challenging.
So no one's going to have
Research from
sympathy.
Indeed found that job postings are declining faster in metropolitan areas where many jobs can be done remotely. A similar trend is playing out on LinkedIn as well.
So on LinkedIn last year, we saw that about 1 in 7 jobs were
remote. 1 in 7 versus 1 in 11. But to be fair, I think companies have to at least make job offers. I recently read an article talking about how a lot of the jobs offering are fake recently. I'll get into that in another video. Just let me know down in the comments if you enjoy that.
Remote, and now that's down to
that
about
kind of
1 in 11.
topic.
But over this time, we've also seen an inversion. Now we see about 1 in 7 jobs being hybrid, coming up from 1 in 11 last year. So we're seeing more folks coming back into the office, but they are not coming back into the office 5 days a week.
Many employers are strong-arming their team members, and
Did you see this duty title?
that they
Leadership and negotiation
would love
coach.
remote work to die faster.
What is that? Hold on,
As a
let me get rid
result,
of
I
it.
do see that remote
Leadership and negotiation coach. Now I get it. I mean, flex that life coach badge. You feel me?
work is quote-unquote slowly dying and becoming more competitive to get.
The pandemic-induced shift to remote work has raised concerns about the future of commercial real estate, especially office spaces. The latest report from McKinsey Global Institute suggests that remote work threatens to erase $800 billion from the value of office real estate.
This is a problem. This is the main reason working from home is not viable for a lot of companies. We understand that they have commercial estates that they have to pay. They have property that they have to pay for, and they want butts in seats.
State in 9 major cities around the world. Other experts say the empty offices created by remote work in various cities are also leading to what's been called the, quote, urban doom loop.
Because let's be honest, as a company, having a headquarters in like New York City sounds better, more prestigious than, I don't know, Jersey. Like, no shot at Jersey, I'm just saying, in comparison.
The problem does start with the office demand, right? And we've seen with the advent of remote work and hybrid work a dramatic reduction in office demand over these past 3 years that has led to rising vacancy rates and, in fact, all-time high vacancy rates in the office market right now. And that does put downward pressure on the valuations of these.
Yeah, companies like WeWork completely collapsed. Like, they just were terrible timing when you think about it. Like, a company that literally was, hey, office rentals.
Offices. You mentioned that they're down,
COVID
probably 20,
does not work.
Already. They're likely to fall by more. And that
does not
causes
work.
Downward pressure on property tax revenues. Because for a lot of cities, office tax revenues is a big chunk of their tax revenues, often as much as 50%. Some of that is coming from office, maybe 20%. So maybe 10% of overall tax revenues for cities comes from office. If those offices lose about half of their value, tax revenues fall, and that creates a huge hole in the budget.
So like everything, there are going to be winners and losers as we transition to a world where we have remote work as a permanent feature. One of the potential losers is commercial real estate.
Now, realistically, this is the entire rest of the video. They just talk about the overarching issues, and I completely don't think that they covered the complete aspect of it. The companies don't care, right? Let's look at stock analysis. Let's look at Amazon, just Amazon, right? The one who's leading the way into working from home or returning from home, blah, 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 right? All-time highs, if not near it. But if you were to take a look at finances, revenue, all-time highs. They don't care. This is simply just a budgeting cut expense for them, right? Admin, it's going up. They don't care. Numbers are only going up for them, right? So at the end of the day, none of this matters. The best thing that you can do is be in a position of high skill. Not only be in a position of high skill, but also be in a position where the company makes money. If you are tied to a money loss project, they're going to wipe their hands of you. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So you need to be able to make sure you have your foot in the door into a higher position. Now, if you like these lives, like, subscribe, comment.